Hey guys, so I made an earlier video on draining my transmission, and I'm actually doing a filter change. There's a couple filters on this transmission. This is on the 5.7 Hemi 2013 Dodge Ram 1500. Now I just took everything out after I drained the pan. It's pretty simple to take everything out. It's straightforward. It's like if you've ever done oil changes, or if you're new at it, it's still pretty simple. You look here, I have the old, that's the old filter. That is the transmission spin-on filter. That is for the oil cooler. And those come out. That comes out just like if you're changing your oil in your engine. It just untwists. It twists like that. But when it's upside down, I'll show you in a bit. But that just untwists. I needed a strap wrench like that because I didn't have a small enough oil filter, and that worked. If you could twist it off by hand, then bonus to you. And these are all the tools I used. I had to use this torque bit, and I believe it is a T25 to get off the screw for the filter. I'll show you where that goes. That just goes on the other side of the filter. You could see it. Actually goes right there, but I'll show you from underneath where it sits. And I had to use this with the vice grips like that to get in because the exhaust pipe is in the way. I needed this to take off the 8mm bolts, and I used another socket with I have an impact wrench that I used just to pull off the ones I could get to, but because the exhaust is in the way, there's two bolts that are on the pan. I believe it's on this side that you can't get to unless you have a small extension or a small ratchet like that, and it's 8mm. And these are my new ones that I'm putting in, and installation's pretty simple. You just put them in. When you're putting in this one, make sure you put it in right, that it sits properly. And then you tighten the oil filter on the same way, screw it on the same way. Try not to strip those threads because they're plastic. You got to put it on nice and easy. When I do oil changes on an engine, sometimes I like to fill up the filter with oil so that it doesn't have to take time to fill up. I just fill it up as much as I can, or put some oil in there, and then oil the rubber ring on there, the seal. Oil that, oil this, oil everything up, and then screw it on. And put this on with that Torx bolt, and it just tightens down so much. You could torque it on if you want. You can use a torque wrench and probably find online the specifications on how tight to torque this to, but I usually just screw them on hand tight, as tight as I can. I know when to not break them, or when to how tight to put it. And then the new kit came with a gasket. My old gasket was somebody had, or the original manufacturer had used silicone, RTV, or like a gasket maker, and they just siliconed it. I'm going to decide to go with the filter, with the gasket that they gave me in the kit this time. It's a rubber gasket, I believe, or whatever it is. I'm going to go with that. And I could make the choice of putting silicone and then putting the gasket and then silicone again. I've done that before, and that works really good. But I'm just going to try it with the gasket this time, because I do this on my truck all the time. Like, I fix stuff on it all the time. I could do whatever I want. I'm just going to try it with the gasket, and I believe it'll work. It usually works most of the time without a leak. And I cleaned the pan. I cleaned the pan really good. You could have, if you have your own way of cleaning the pan after you take it off, that's up to you. I use sawdust and stuff, and then blow it out, and then clean it with a cleaner of some type to get all the oil out of it, especially from the gasket part. Get it nice and clean like that. And make sure your magnet's nice and clean. There's a magnet in there, there should be, to catch any metal shavings that come from the transmission. Clean that really good, put that back in, and yeah, and reinstall of the same way as you're removing it. And sorry I'm not showing you, but if you've seen my videos before, I just give an explanation, because if you don't know what you're doing, don't do it. And that's all the stuff I used, and that's all I'm doing with the transmission filter change. I don't like flushing my transmissions because you're not getting it properly cleaned by not changing the filter. And as if you could see there, after I took out the pan, that's what it looks like. And this is a 6-speed transmission, not an 8-speed. As you could see, that's how it looks. That's where the spin-on filter goes, right there. And then that's where the filter, the in-house filter, sticks into, as I was telling you, to make sure that seal is seated in there properly when you install your filter. And then it screws on back there, right there, I believe. And as you could see, the tailpipe's in the way, the exhaust pipe is in the way. Why I had to use a small, and unless you have different types of or is it right there? I believe it's right there. It's one of those, but you'll know which one it is when you unscrew it or when you reinstall it. And then I wipe this all down, and then I'll put my gasket and my pan back on, tighten everything down to torque specifications if you wish. I usually do them hand tight. And then there is a way of putting in the bolts. Like I'll start from like one side, go across to the other side, tighten it, go across, tighten it, go across, tighten it, and keep going back and forth in a crisscross, tightening each bolt until they're all properly tight. And you'll know, don't tighten them too tight that you break them off, because that'll become a job if you bust off your bolts. And take your time and do it right, nice and clean everything, and you're good to go. Installation's the same as removal. If you remove it all, you'll just remember everything, do a video documentation or something, write some stuff down of how you're doing it. And you can, that's on my filter change on my 2013 Dodge Ram. Again, comes with the gasket, there's the filter, the filters, that's the wrenches I used, nice and clean pan. Filter change on a 2013 5.7 Hemi 1500. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe.